Good evening. Thank you for being with us. I'm Cordell Wright.
I'm Andrea Anderson. Brian is away from the desk tonight. Congress is against the clock, as in just 6 days, the federal government could shut down unless new funding is passed.
Representative Dusty Johnson says he's still optimistic that a new deal can be reached in the House. It's our top story tonight. We hear from him and a political expert to learn more about the dynamic of shutdowns.
Shutdowns are stupid. Shutting down the government doesn't do anything to save the taxpayers money. In fact, it costs us money.
2018 shutdown that lasted 36 days cost us over $5 billion.
Costs from shutdowns come from back pay to millions of furloughed employees, lost tax revenue from the IRS closure, and even more.
Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, National Labor Relations Board activities, Department of Labor, those will all be likely furloughed employees, meaning that data won't be available for the Federal Reserve to make determinations on interest rate policies.
A small group of GOP hardliners are holding back the vote.
98% of the Republicans in the U.S. House support my plan to close the border and keep the government open. Unfortunately, there are just a few holdouts, 8 or 9 members, that are refusing to agree to any plan that would keep the government funded.
When we're divided as we are, a few individuals can create minority rule. And here's the case where we have 5 to 8 individuals who are basically stopping the government.
They're demanding additional spending cuts, including any additional aid to Ukraine, to which Johnson had this to say.
The kind of old equipment that our country no longer needs is the kinds of thing that we should still be committed to doing. Not billion-dollar blank checks, but targeted support to help them save their country.
Johnson has announced that he will not be taking any pay if a government shutdown does occur. He and Professor Card also share differing opinions on whether this shutdown is avoidable.
I expect the government to be shut down simply because there's no procedural way to get it done before then.
I'm optimistic that we're still going to have enough mature, responsible members of Congress that we will be able to avoid this shutdown.
Johnson added that votes start in Washington tomorrow, and he's going to stay there until a new deal is reached.